Okay, we'll start today's session. In previous session, we discussed about the impact of globalization and liberalization on small scale sector or MSME sector. Okay, we liberalized our economy in 1991 that we discussed, and because of liberalization, private investment come to India, and many MNCs also came to India. Okay, and now we are living in a globalized world. So globalization works based on two things: competition and profit. Okay, companies want to earn profit. Okay, and consumers also will get benefit when there is competition among various companies for manufacturing a same product or for providing the same service. Okay, now we are witnessing a change from capitalism to crony capitalism, because instead of having competition among same service providers, what we are witnessing now is one or two companies are able to achieve monopoly in few sectors. Okay, because of this, what is happening is wealth is started accumulating with these few companies. Okay, so this is a problem with capitalism now. Okay, and countries like India need a drastic shift in economic policies to avoid accumulation of wealth with only few. Okay, so the and this globalization or liberalization worked well with its own limitations for more than 25 years. Okay, now we need shift in economic policy. Otherwise, the problem will go on increasing, and it may result in societal problems also. Okay. Next, along with liberalization, there were two very important things which took place around 1995. One is World Trade Organization was established, which was established in 1995. Another important development was the formation of the agreement known as GATT. Okay, GATT is nothing but it is the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Okay, so this agreement was coming to picture in 1994. Okay, so before WTO, so one agreement was formed. Okay, so or framed. So that was in 1994. The reason for framing this agreement is to have a free market around the world, where any country it simply cannot impose taxes on imported products. In order to avoid that, in order to keep a level playing field throughout the world, where the tax rates are almost same. Okay, in order to create an environment where there is a level playing field around the world. Okay, so this GATT agreement was framed. Even in India, okay, so many organizations at that time they also opposed this GATT agreement, especially the organizations like farmers organization. Okay, in Karnataka, during that time, okay, Karnataka Raita Sangha was very popular among people, among farmers. Okay, and even Assam district was also famous for farmers protest, and even it has contributed many leaders for Rait Sangha. Okay, so leaders like Nanjun Swami, Professor Nanjun Swami, Purnachandra Tejasvi, okay, Sundaresh, Kadidar Shamanna. So these are very prominent figures. Even some are alive today also. Okay, so this was the situation. They opposed GATT agreement based on various reasons. Okay, so again, even today, farmers in Ramnagar has to compete with Chinese products. Okay, Reshme ಬೆಳೆಯ Ramnagar ರೈತರು ಇವತ್ತು, so they have to compete with China, because India will import products of sericulture from China. Okay, Reshman Alinda they will import. Because of that, our farmers may not get proper price. Okay, and the cost involved in producing these agricultural goods is different. Okay, China may produce the same crop in mass quantity by making use of okay, modern equipments, but in Indian farmers cannot do that. Okay, so that's why at that time also, so even Right Sangha has opposed uh, GATT agreement. Okay, even today we know, so farmers are opposing few more bills, which may result in corporate farming in upcoming days. Okay, and again, once again we are witnessing few similar consequences, like one which we saw in 1995 and what we are seeing in 2021. Okay, almost they are, they have some similarities. Okay, so GATT, impact of World Trade Organization or GATT on small scale industries. Okay, the challenges to the small scale sector are due to the impact of agreements under World Trade Organization. The setting up of the World Trade Organization in 1995 had altered the framework of international trade towards non-destructive, market-oriented policies. That means it is a policy towards free market. Free market in the sense, if someone is having money, okay, so to invest on starting a new business, policies are framed such that they will get easy approvals and no extra tariffs or no extra taxes are imposed. Okay, irrespective of the investor belong to which country. Okay, whether he belongs to India, China, USA, irrespective of that, level playing field was created with the help of this agreement, and this World Trade Organization looked after these things. But the problem is, so the problem, it affected small scale sector in many ways. Okay, because of various reasons. It may be unavailability of funds, it may be unavailability of modern technology. So these small scale industries, they faced a lot of difficulty to compete with these global companies. Okay, so they find it very difficult to compete in the market with the global players. Okay, that was the problem with, or that was the challenge with this GATT agreement. Okay, next, this was in keeping with the policy shift that occurred worldwide in favor of the free market forces and tilt away from state regulation or intervention in economic activity. Okay, before liberalization, government used to regulate a lot of things, like government used to own a lot of companies. We used to see most of the public sector companies before 1991, that is before liberalization of the market. Okay, government used to took a lot of responsibility. It may be even managing industries was the responsibility of the government before liberalization. Now we know even the remaining public sector companies are also they are ready for sale. Okay, we in future we may not be able to see even one public sector company if things go like this. Okay, WTO regulates multilateral trade, requiring its member countries to remove import quotas. That means some countries try to import products, okay, only according to the requirement. Okay, so here it is not based on requirement, it is based on the opportunity in a particular market. Okay, it is based on demand and supply, and governments cannot interfere and they cannot impose the restrictions. That was the motto of this agreement. Next, India was also asked to remove quantitative restrictions on import by 2001 and all export subsidies by 2003. Okay, so since India also signed GATT agreement, so gradually India go on reducing the support it was providing for small scale sector. As a result, every enterprise in India, whether small scale or large scale, has to face competition. That means we have to compete globally. Okay, if company is not able to compete in global market, they cannot survive in today's market world. So tighter patent laws through regulation of intellectual property rights under trade related intellectual property rights agreements, which lay down what is to be patent for what duration and what terms. Okay, even today if you look at what is happening in the field of vaccine for COVID, okay, you will understand how this free market will work. Okay, so no company is ready to sell anything for loss. Okay, and every company, it may be a drug selling company or it may be a vaccine selling company. Okay, so they also want to make profit. Again, they will look at the demand and supply, and they will look at the competition. Okay, now you know how price. There is a discussion regarding how countries are negotiating with this company. Okay, in India, even there is a controversy with providing approvals for vaccine companies. Okay, there is a different discussion, but what you can see is even this vaccine is a most required thing for the whole country. Then also it is considered as a product, and by looking at the demand for this product, companies are fixing prices and they want to make profit and they want to make money as much as possible. And so we are in such a situation where it is not possible for our policymakers to regulate it. Even if there is possibility to regulate also, so intentionally or I don't know for what reason, so they are taking wrong steps also. The reason is 2 days back I saw a discussion in one of the English news channel. Okay, so the discussion was about one of the vaccine manufacturing company, how it is fixing price in different countries. Okay, so one of the vaccines, even that is approved in India also. So for a dose of the vaccine, the price in European Union or Europe is $2.16. For the same vaccine, the price in USA is $4, and in India, for the same vaccine, the price may be $5. So again, same product, the price in European Union is different, USA is different, India is different. So that means the companies, okay, they want to make profit. If governments are able to bargain much and if they plan properly, okay, so then they may be able to get these vaccines for low cost. So this is the problem with the free market. Free market, it is profit oriented and it works based on competition. And another thing is, so intellectual property right. That means if some company is having patent, okay, another company simply it cannot manufacture the same product. Okay, they have to take rights to manufacture a particular vaccine, to manufacture a particular product. Okay, it is also because of these agreements and these acts. Okay, where no company can violate that. Even that vaccine may be required for the entire world. That may be a basic requirement for the mankind. But then also we are in a situation that we cannot violate this patent act. That means a company which is having a patent of a particular vaccine, okay, it can make a lot of money at the cost of human life. That is also possible. Okay, and there are some benefits with this free market. Okay, there are merits and demerits associated with most of the policies. Okay, so like that, the benefits of this intellectual property rights is companies, because there is a room for making profit, companies are ready to invest in research and development. Okay, if there is no room for making profit, why companies will invest on R&D? So it is the positive side of this free market. Okay, because there is an opportunity to earn more money if a company is able to come up with new technology or new vaccine or new product or new service. Okay, there is an opportunity to earn more money, to make more profit. In order to get this opportunity, companies are ready to invest in research and development. Okay, so this happens because of this patent law. If some company is able to come up with a new technology, they will take patent of the technology. Okay, no other company can replicate or cannot make use of this technology without taking its rights. And you have seen some of the mobile manufacturing companies, they paid fine. Okay, so there was a conflict between Apple company and Samsung company. Okay, and Samsung okay, paid, it has to pay some fine amount for violating these patent rules. Okay, so like this, even during 1990s, okay, farmers union protest against GATT agreement. The reason was there was a fear that farmers may lose right of seeds. Okay, before 2000, usually what farmers were doing is they used to seeds, they used to make use of the seeds grown by them. Okay, but now farmers are dependent on seeds selling companies like Monsanto and other companies. They are famous for selling more, okay, seeds. So that means farmers were self-reliant. Now they are dependent on these multinational companies, even for seeds, pesticides, okay, manure. So these are the consequences. Okay, and again, these are having adverse effect on small scale industry also, because competition. Okay, and large scale companies have an advantage of producing a product at least cost. The reason is when you produce a product in mass number, okay, you can produce in less cost. Okay, when you produce the same product in 100 units of a product and 1 lakh units of a product, the cost on 100 units will be, obviously it will be more compared with 1 lakh. Okay, so these are the consequences. Next, increased market access also mean that our industries can compete for export markets in both developed and developing countries. Okay, in last 25 to 30 years, okay, India has grown a lot. The standard of living of most of us has improved. The reason for this is government, along with liberalizing the market, they have the proper framework regarding providing education to people, providing education to youth, so that they will become skilled human resource. Okay, and when there is availability of skilled manpower, obviously investors are attracted towards India. Okay, because of this reason, MNCs started in India. Okay, then because of education, because of increased employment opportunities, okay, we are able to, our generation are from 25 to 30 years, people are able to make money, get better jobs. Okay, all this happen in 25 to 30 years, because it is not happened on its own. It happened because of proper policies of the government. It happened because of a proper framework, okay, regarding how to enhance skills of people, okay, how to add value to product or service. Okay, you know how we are dominant in the field of software industry. Okay, even most of our software industries, they are providing services to European countries, USA, like Infosys. Okay, it is an Indian based company. It is operating in different parts of the world. Okay, so this is because we also able to compete in the global market. Okay, next, small scale industries have to face threats and also avail opportunities owing to the WTO and its agreements. The opportunities are, we are able to attract investment from foreign companies. Because of that reason, employments were created. Because of that reason, people were able to earn more money. Because of that, standard of living increased. Okay, so just imagine, okay, how much your parents were earning 25 or 30 years back, or what was the standard of living of Indians or of your parents 20-25 years back and now. So when you compare this, you can notice through this 25 to 30 years, our standard of living has continuously improved because our earnings also improved gradually, okay, because of the liberalization, because of free market, okay. Next, the main opportunities of this are national treatment of exportable items across the countries all over the world with better market access to the internet. So again, suppose if a farmer, okay, if he is able to export his fruit, okay, suppose consider a farmer who grow apples in Kashmir, okay, if he export it to some other country, that apple will be treated as apple from India, okay. Suppose if a farmer export oranges, okay, from Madkeri, so that will be considered as orange from India. That means a product will get national recognition, that will be identified as a country's product, okay. So that is because of this globalization, okay. So it will get a national image, okay. So that is an advantage, national treatment of exportable item, that means Indian product, okay. Or if we import from if we suppose if we consume apple imported from USA, what we'll say is, so it is an apple imported from USA. Similarly, a consumer of other country, okay, you'll say it is a apple from India, it is a product from India, okay. Again, if you see made in China, immediately what we will say, this is a Chinese product. So we don't think about in China, it was manufactured in which province, which company. We don't bother much about all those things. We'll take the country name, okay. That is because of this this globalization, okay. And also because of the internet, now it is easy to get connected with the world, okay. You can have your own website and where people can purchase products, okay, or they can contact for taking services from you, okay. Next, enlightened entrepreneurs have greater opportunities to benefit from their comparative advantages due to lowering of tariffs and dismantling of other restrictions, because because of this GATT agreement, okay, any country cannot impose tariffs unnecessarily, or it cannot increase the rates. Okay, next, industries that are in constant touch with government, which in turn negotiates in their best interest. This is what is happening in India. Okay, only one or two companies are able to take most of the benefits from the government, and because of that, now there is no level playing field. Okay, when there is no level playing field, then obviously only those who are able to negotiate with the government, okay, they are able to make money, they are able to do business in a by earning profit, okay. This is happening in India, and this is called as crony capitalism, where government will pick only few investors, okay, with whom it is having good relationships. It is not about a policy which will decide, okay, so who can invest or and who cannot invest. It is about government which is picking, okay, so only one or two big business houses for almost everything, okay. So you can understand this in a better way by the recent development related to the firms belonging to Anil Ambani, okay. Later I will share this video link, okay. So go through this video link, you will understand the meaning of crony capitalism, okay. So by watching this video of I think 12 to 15 minutes, you will understand what do you mean by crony capitalism and how it will have an adverse impact on our economy, okay, and how it will result in again enhancing the gap between rich and poor, okay. All those things are summarized very well in this video by journalist, okay. So you can watch this video. Later I will share this link. You will understand why this globalization is not working in India and how we are shifting from capitalism to crony capitalism. These things you will realize, okay, by watching this video. Next, institutions supporting business enterprises. That means even with all these things, okay, government is still supporting industries within the framework of free market. Also, government is creating an environment where people can start their business on their own. Okay, so that is possible. There are many institutions which will support business enterprises. Huh? No. Okay, so institutions supporting business enterprises. Okay, most of the enterprises need support at the pre-startup, startup, development and growth phase. Okay, so we know there's a special project that is Startup India. Okay, the intention of this project is to support new companies. Okay, so similarly, government has many such organizations. Okay, organizations. Okay, to support. Okay. Okay, so most of the enterprises need support at the pre-startup, startup, development and growth phase. Okay, if you want to start a new business, okay, you can make use of the available facilities or the initiatives. You can make use of the initiatives of the government. Okay, in many ways, it may be initiative related to providing guidance related to technologies and other things, and it may be support based on finance. That means if you may not have money, but you may have a good business idea, then you can go for taking loan. Then you may get loan at a very less interest rate. Okay, this is happened because of the government support. Okay, and entrepreneurs should be aware of governmental and non-governmental support systems available for his enterprise. The reason for studying this course is, so after your graduation, suppose if you want to do something on your own, okay, you must have some awareness regarding from where you can get benefits, okay, all those things. Okay, next, a number of support institutions set up by the central and state governments and various other agencies help entrepreneurial development in various ways. The activities of support institutions cover a wide range of services such as financing, equipment support, technical assistance, training, marketing and providing subsidy and grants. Okay, we have discussed about some of the existing schemes which are especially made for or especially framed for MSME sector in previous sessions. Okay, there are institutions at central government level, there are institutions at state government level, and there are some private institutions. Okay, all these will provide guidance, will support entrepreneurs to start their business, then run the business in a profitable manner. Okay, central level institutions means these institutions are established by central government and they comes under central government. Central level institutions for supporting entrepreneurial activities are set up by the central government. So these include, so there are many institutions. We will discuss one by one in next session. Okay. So these include this National Board for Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, Khadi Village Industries Commission, CAIR Board, Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Development Organization. Like that, there are many organizations which will support businessmen and companies, okay, which are doing businesses. Next, state level institutions. These institutions are run by state governments. Okay, so the state level institutions for supporting entrepreneurial activities are set up by the various state governments in India. So these include State Directorate of Industries, District Industrial Centers, State Financial Corporations, State Industrial Development Corporation, and State Industrial Area Development Board. Okay, next, other institutions means these are non-governmental institutions, that means private institutions. Apart from central and state level institutions, there are various other institutions supporting entrepreneurial activities in India. These include NABARD, okay, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, Housing and Urban Development Corporation, UDCO, Technical Consultancy Organization, Small Industry Development Bank, okay, NGOs. Like that, there are many organizations. Okay, so we are going to discuss about these institutions in detail in next session, upcoming sessions. Okay, and what is